Welcome to the podcast of Data and Analytics in Business. We'll learn from the leading industry experts using data and analytics to solve the problems and create values in practice. We'll also learn where the industry is heading to and how data and analytics will shape the industry in the future. Most importantly, how they are preparing their business for digital transformation and disruption in the future. I'm your host, Jason Tan, and thank you for listening.
Hello, my fellow data and analytic professional. This is Jason Tan, and welcome to another episode of the Analytic Show. So it's going to be an in-between episode, a shorter solo episode instead of the long-form interview format where we'll share more insight on how top business leaders run their modern high-performance business using data science. You the practical tips and material. My team and I often carry out detailed research to prepare a tailored and personalized research for each of our guests, so you can learn how data and analytics is carried out in their operation. Now, all these things takes time, effort, and money. So if you want to support this podcast, I'm going to ask you very nicely to do these three things for me. Number one, if you haven't already subscribed, make to the Analytic Show podcast on your mobile. You can subscribe to them on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify Podcasts, or any other format channel that you like. Now, secondly, share this podcast with your friends. There are many practical tips for data analytics that they can borrow from top business leaders to use in their own work. Now, finally, I'm teaming up with Bright Data to run an online masterclass on 20th of June 2021, depending which time zone you are. And the topic that we'll be discussing is how not to leave any money on the table with a revenue optimization engine. I'm going to share with you what is a world-class revenue optimization engine used by the insurer and leading retailers. I will also show you this 5-module implementation and creating an end-to-end solution that you can take back and start implementing at your organization, and why this will boost your revenue by at least 10% without significant large sum of necessary. If you have been listening to or reading all my works and are curious about how I look, I will be presenting with a live video. So come and support me and the Analytic Show in this masterclass. All the registration details to the masterclass on the webpage of this episode, or a LinkedIn post that I'll be sharing when this particular episode is released. Now, while this is my second solo episode, you will walk away with technical specific in using data and analytics to run your business way more efficiently than your competitors in your industry. So let us get started. First, let's start with what your organization and many other people has got at this stage. When it comes to data and analytics, a lot of people are already doing that without any doubt. However, what very is people stop at building the data analytics into the dashboard. And very often, all your analytical model and the result that you can find out from this mathematical modeling on the dashboard, the Excel, or even the PDF. It is sitting there waiting for someone, either from your team or any other people in the team, to discover and to learn, to come up a strategy that and what to do with, and this result are telling you to do. And very often, again, you need to fight for your budget. You need to come up a strategy and how to work with the IT team to manually implement a strategy. And that can take months and months or even years. And sometimes, in the worst case scenario, they actually never get implemented. The next best action model that your mathematician is creating. So what is the point when all of these results that you are creating is sitting in the dashboard, is sitting in the Excel and never get implemented. So you want to move beyond just looking at analytics from the view of the dashboard, from the view of all these beautiful charts and graph. You want to move them and embed it directly into the business operation. Why is that? Because your boss or the C-level never really care about what is happening in the dashboard until they see the real result that is created and is directly driven from analytic that you have built. So what we are saying here is the first thing and the number one thing is how you want to look way beyond to having your data analytic just in the dashboard, but rather build your analytic directly into your business operation. So that comes to our tips number 2. How do you build and embed your analytic directly into the business operation? Very often, whenever I speak to my client or I speak to someone, the example that I use is the recommendation engine that you see when you are shopping on the Amazon or when you are watching Netflix TV program to watch. As you are browsing the website, as you are browsing the Netflix, you see that the result page is actually tailored with all of the different type of the recommendation. For buy A will always buy B. Or people like you who buy this often also check out this particular product. From the aspect of the Netflix, you will see all the recommendations. You watch A, B, and C, that is 98% chances that you will like X, Y, and Z. So you see, the power of this sort of analytic is it directly build the whole data and that integrate with the IT system that drive the entire customer experience, which is part of the business operation. In the case of the Amazon, the business operation is about selling things online. Customers are buying, you want to increase your chance of making sure that they buy the product that they are buying, or perhaps increase the shopping cart size of the product that they are purchasing in this particular session. Otherwise, in the Netflix, the whole business operation here is about making sure that you are enjoying all of these programs that they have created and making sure that you have a great experience finding the right type of the program that you and hence you are continuously subscribing to the Netflix platform. So what that basically means is, for example, if you are in the logistic or the transport industry, where your primary business operation is out the parcels and the product to the end customer for your client, you could apply the data and analytics to understand how to create the best route that is optimal in terms of the delivery. You can use the data and analytics to understand how to best put all the package and the parcel in the truck that is optimized for the delivery so that you can deliver as many parcels within any given day. If you are in the banking industry, that's one thing that you would want to do for your customer is about how to increase the numbers of the product they could hold with your bank. Because the finding and the research clearly show that the more product a customer is holding with your bank, the customer lifetime value is just going to be significant. And the churn rate is equally going to be much, much lower. But the question is, though, is how do you upsell them and how do you cross-sell them at the right time, at the right place? If you have a teller and you are expecting the teller to be consistently understanding the needs of your customer, whether it is the home loan, the personal loan, the car loan, a credit, investment portfolio, it is going to be very, very difficult that they will remember all these things and then bring the conversation up to the customer and suggest some of these products. And also, given of the digital world that we are living in today, there are lesser and lesser customers are visiting the branch this day. Instead, most of us are carrying out our banking transaction either or our internet. So how do you use data analytic and how do you embed the analytic into the business operation to do the cross-selling to reduce the churn rate but increase the retention rate? So you would already find out what are the products that the customer has already got. Using the data, you would be able to understand the stage that they are in their life at the moment. Young couple or the young professional is the next step about working hard and moving up the ladder in their career, build their career and buy a first home, or perhaps get married, or perhaps who has multiple investment property and multiple product already, and they are just looking for more ways to invest. So through all of this data, you would already know where exactly they are at in terms of their life. With enough statistical data analysis, you would have a good picture about the product that they are likely to need in the next 2 to 3 years. So the very next question then, you got to say this is something that we all can figure that out by looking at the data, i.e., what is the channel that your customer are using the most to carry out all their banking transaction? Do they use it more of banking, or are they the person who prefer visiting the branch? Or perhaps they are the millennium who primarily using the mobile app of the bank to carry out most of their transaction. Is once you understand all of these things, you will be able to build the data and the model to send out a very, very specific message to your existing customer with the right product channel. And this channel, whether that would be a private banker or it could be a message within the mobile app or within the internet banking. So what it means is you will now be able to start personalize not but also the internet banking or the mobile app to interact with your existing customer. No longer everyone is seeing exactly the same internet banking front end. No longer everyone is using exactly, but rather it is completely personalized depending where their journey is. It is the year of 2021 that we are in. No longer the customer wants to be bombarded with the same like everyone else and sending them all of those to them every week or every month just to ask them whether they want a new credit increase. But rather, they want that to be personalized. And analytic is so possible to understand and personalize all those things. And with the increased use of all of this digital channel by the customer, it makes it so much easier for you to experience at a fraction of the cost that you would have incurred in the past. So this is what I call embedding analytic into the business frontline. And another example of embedding into the business operation is how you can actually understand and incorporate the competitor pricing data into your analytic model and subsequently have it got completely automated and adjusted to your final price. And this is what we have done in the past. So the beauty of that is how you can entirely automate the entire process and making sure that you don't leave any money on the table. You can have all of those things to be as part of your business operation. In fact, this is the very topic that I'll be talking and presenting in my online masterclass at the end of June 2021. And the topic that it will be covering is Don't leave table. Automate the process with a revenue optimization engine. So make sure you come and check it out, how you can actually incorporate the competitive pricing data and make sure that you're not selling at a loss the customer and just to win the sales transaction. So this is the second tips that I'm sharing with you today, which is about embedding the analytic into the business operation. Just think about what is the business operation that you want to improve it, and it's so much more advanced in building the analytic as part of it instead of seeing the result in the dashboard. And finally, the third tips that I want to share with you is how can you automate all of this directly into your business operation? No. So the challenges that many of the traditional industry are facing, like for example, your insurer or your banks, is that they have got all of this ERP system or the legacy system software vendor. And often, as much as this ERP system can be customized to suit the business needs, but it still would take forever in order to make certain changes. On the other spectrum is like Amazon, Facebook, or Google. They actually built their system completely from scratch and ground up. So the advantage that they have got than the traditional industry is able to modify and update all of this system at a quicker pace and speed. So really the question then you got to ask yourself is, how can you have the same speed like these tech companies who built the system from the ground up? Realistic. If you were going to change your system each time you update a model, it is unrealistic. You have to change the system and work with the IT each time you want to implement into the business operation. Because every single code change will always go through various review and check to make sure that it doesn't screw up, to make sure that it is having another production error. And that would be the nightmare. So the key here is you want to update your business IT system to take on the result in a format of the data and table. Basically mean is that instead of requesting a code change, you could impact the final outcome by simply updating a row of a data in the table. And all of those things through automatically. So if we come back to the example of we are trying to upsell a car loan to this young professional, what you want to do is to work with the IT system, guys, to understand what are the table and what are the data within the legacy system, within the core IT system, will be able to receive the data where you can provide the system like the product that you are trying to sell, the offer that you are trying to make, the channel that you are pushing out this message, and how the message is crafted and personalized. You want to have all in the data, in the table format, so that you can do it at scale. You can push this out to thousands and millions of the customer at any time. And you would not want any of this to be even coded in the system at all. But rather, you can drive the entire thing by change of the data. When you can make the change of the data to push through your result, that basically iterate at much faster pace. You will be able to get your result out in a matter of hours instead of weeks. Because when there is no code change, your IT system manager will be able to sleep. And because of that, you can then start trying and experimenting with all the different models. And just as long as the result is pumped out in a data and in a table format that can subsequently feed core IT system, that is what matters. So there you go. These are my 3 tips that I am sharing with you today. Just to recap, number one, move beyond dashboard. Don't let your result the dashboard. Tip number two, embed the analytic into the business operation to have a direct impact into the revenue. And tip number three is to how to integrate your analytic platform, your core IT system, and have the core IT system accepting the output in a data and a table format. If you could achieve all those three things, your analytic capability is at least than your competitor. I hope you enjoyed this solo episode from me in sharing more tips in building a better data analytic for your business operation. And if you like the format, simply send me an email or message and let me know. And if you have 5 minutes of your time today, give me a review on the podcast platform. I would greatly appreciate that. That's it. And thank you very much for listening. And I'll speak to you guys very soon with another episode of interviewing other business leaders on how they run the business using data science. I'm your host, Jason Ten.